All right, what's up, YouTube? This is Boxingwave, and we are back with another fight breakdown, an undisputed one between Naoya Inoue against Paul Butler. It's going down Tuesday, December 13th, around 2:30, 3 a.m. Eastern. It's a little confusion there because I did go on ESPN Plus, which is where we can see the fight. It's gonna be on ESPN Plus, right? The thing is, the ring walkout times are all over the place. All right, so I'm not sure what time the fight starts as far as the main event, but if it starts roughly no later than 7 o'clock, maybe 7:15 ish, I could jump online and do live commentary for the fight. All right, I'm gonna wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, and I'm gonna check to see if the fight is up. If it is up, or if we're getting close to the main event, I will jump on live and cover the fight. But I will only cover the fight. Okay, maybe the fight before that, but I just want to be sure because I do have to go to work. I'm sure many of us have to go to work, and I'm sure many of you that's on the West Coast is gonna be already at work. But with that being said, I'm gonna try call it live if I can. All right, mainly because I just want to see the undisputed fight, and I love watching Naoya Inoue fight. All right, so it will be on ESPN. It will be extremely early on Tuesday. I will try to jump on to cover it live as long as it's not getting in the way of me getting into work on time or maybe just a little bit late. All right, so this fight is undisputed. It's gonna be undisputed at 118. All right, and Inoue is currently holding the WBC, WBA, and IBF titles, and Paul Butler is currently holding the WBO title. Now, there's a lot of drama at the weight division. There's a lot, and we're gonna be mainly talking about that. We're not gonna be talking too much about the fight, unfortunately, because I really don't believe Paul Butler has much of a chance of winning this fight. All right, he's just simply outgunned, and in a way, actually does everything better. I mean, anything that you can name, he does it better. He's fought way better fighters and performed way better against better opposition. You know, they do actually have a common opponent in Manny Rodriguez. And in a way, we saw what happened in that fight. He destroyed him, whereas Manny Rodriguez beat Paul Butler. Again, you know, we like to call it, at least I like to call it based on how I see it. I have watched Paul Butler fight. I do was able to, go back, looked at some of his losses, some of his recent fights, and I was able to watch exactly what he likes to do in the ring, what he does, what's his weak points, what's his strong points. And from what I've seen, I can't front. He doesn't really have a chance of winning this fight. I mean, even if I was thinking like maybe Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos, where Tio went in there for a reckless fight, a super crazy reckless fight. Didn't fight with any kind of strategy at all. Just went in there, thought he was gonna blow Kambosos out in 1 or 2 rounds. When it didn't happen, it seemed like Tio had put everything on the line for him winning in 1 or 2 rounds. You know, Not for nothing, but in a way hasn't always defended his titles against the super elite. And even when he didn't, he still fought a very, very disciplined fight. And that's the key thing. I can't see him taking the same approach as a Teofimo Lopez did against George Kambosos. Because even if he's a heavy, heavy favorite, which he is most of the time, he still doesn't come out and fight a reckless fight. You know what I'm saying? And I still see improvements in this game. I mean, he's been really, really good since he was down at 115 when I started seeing his fights. But even watching like the Donaire 1 and 2, just the transition and how even more cautious and even better improved as far as like offensively and defensively. He was even much more improved. I know Donaire is getting older, but you have Naoya who is getting even better even at this time. He's only 29 years old. Let's talk about that. He's 29 years old, 23 wins, 20 by knockout, no losses, no draws, or anything like that. He's about 5'5" in height and it's 67.5-inch reach. Okay, he's an orthodox fighter from Japan. All right. And then you have Paul Butler, who's 34 years old, British fighter. He's slightly taller. He's about 5'6", but shorter reach, a 65-inch reach. And he's 34 wins with 15 losses. I'm sorry, by 34 wins, 15 by knockout, and only 2 losses. If he had 15 losses, we'd be in trouble. But yeah, he has that. And he's also an orthodox fighter. All right, but don't get it twisted. Those 15 knockouts, it doesn't. I don't want to say he's a pillow-fisted puncher. But those 15 knockouts are against guys with losing records, not so good guys. Most of the guys that he's fought, I wouldn't say the 3 best five guys he's fought. Zolani Tete, who he got stopped against. Manny Rodriguez, who beat him by decision, but was able to drop him in the first round, I think. And Jonas Sultan, who he fought recently and won the WBO title. Well, didn't win the title, but he won the WBO interim title, where he later became full champion with the WBO. He actually didn't beat the champ, who was John Rio Casimiro. And let's talk about that for 1 second. John Rio Casimiro is always caught up in some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? He's Adrian Broner when it comes to the Philippines. He's that guy. There's always some controversy with him. At this point, regardless of how you felt during the whole Donaire issue, or whatever issue he's had in the past, it's always some nonsense going on with this guy. And it's unfortunate because at one point, especially around the time he knocked out Zolani Tete, I really wanted to see him fight Naoya Inoue. I really wanted him to fight Inoue because even though I didn't think he had the talent, he had a puncher's chance, a real good one, because he has a lot of power. And I thought he would have a much better chance of being Inoue than most of the fighters in this division. But he was supposed to defend the title. He had fought Rigondeaux the last year, and probably the worst fight of 2021, right? The worst fight. And I blame Rigondeaux for that because Rigondeaux kind of just moved and didn't engage at all, right? And he was supposed to defend this title against Paul Butler, and I believe he had to pull out twice for whatever reasons, and they stripped him, And like I said, it's always something going on with this. Always some kind of drama with this guy, The fact that he didn't fight Donaire, he didn't fight Inoue, you know what I'm saying? It just, didn't defend his title. He got stripped. It is what it is. And then recently, he had a fight just last week where it was a no contest. I don't know, I think he got punched. He punched the fighter in the back of the head. It's always something going on with this guy. So good talent, all right, but he wasn't a champion. And listen, Paul Butler, he's the champion. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. He didn't win the title by beating someone, or beating the champ. He did win the title by beating someone, but he didn't take it from the champ. But you know what? He is here because he made it to this point. All right. And even though I don't think that this will be a competitive fight at all, he still made it here. This is not Inoue's fault. Some of the criticism that I've read and I've heard about Inoue over the years, it's really not his fault. He's fighting the best fighters in this division. You know what I'm saying? And whoever's available. I mean, I believe he participated in the World Boxing Super Series tournament. Yeah, he's the tournament winner. And even though Donaire's old, like people like to say Donaire's old, Donaire lost to Rigo years ago. Yes, he did lose to Rigo years ago. He did. He did lose to Nicholas Walters. He did have some issues and he struggled in some fights. All right. But that was on his way up. And he got brought back down, all the way back down. He was trying to win titles as many divisions as possible, and he failed. Canelo recently fell to win at 175 against a prime fighter. It is what it is. It's about you going for it, and just not sitting back comfortable, winning continuously, taking easy fights just to make sure you don't take an L. which a lot of fighters today are doing. You know, Inoue is in his third division. Well, really fourth, because he started at light flyweight. All right. This is his third division and winning a champion, a world title. He won one at light flyweight. He won one at super flyweight. He skipped flyweight, and now he's at bantamweight. You know what I'm saying? And he's gonna be going up to another division to try to reclaim another title. All right. And that's another issue too. Because Stephen Fulton, unified champion at 122, is gonna be going up to fight. Figueroa, Brandon Figueroa. They're gonna have their rematch at 126 for a title. All right, and basically the title that Ray Robinson, not Ray Robinson. I got everybody's name. Ray Vargas, who held that title, moved up to 130, and then Stephen Fulton moved up to 126 after him. And it's kind of convenient for all of these guys, because they're all PBC. And it seemed like, all right, so you're going to move up, and then he's going to move up. These two are going to move up to fight for your title. It's kind of corny, I like, you want to defend it, or whatever. I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed in that news. But regardless, Stephen Fulton is the one guy whose name has been mentioned the most when it comes to Inoue moving up to fight. That is the guy that I really want to see in Inoue fight. And, listen, everybody has their own careers. Stephen Fulton, though, I am disappointed off the strength that he was one fight away to fight for an undisputed title. MJ Akhmadaliev is the other unified champion at 122. So if you're not going to wait around for Inoue, I get it. You don't have to. It's your life. It's your career. Your career is not based on what Inoue was doing. But unfortunately, Stephen Fulton didn't wait to see him get the fight with MJ Akhmadaliev. And I don't know if that had to do with the politics. I believe MJ is over on the Zone fighting. So I don't know if they could have made that fight, being that he's a Showtime fighter. I have no idea. But very disappointed. I was hoping to see Fulton get undisputed. You get so close. You got one fight to go and then move up. Very disappointed. And I wanted to see the MJ Akhmadaliev fight. And listen, Brandon Figueroa was a tough fight. Stephen Fulton, nothing to take away from him. I love Stephen Fulton. I love watching him fight. That would have been a great fight between him and Inoue. You know what I'm saying? And part of the reason why I wanted to see that fight is to prove how good Stephen Fulton really is, because he has critics out there, especially because of the close fight he had with Brandon Figueroa, a fight that many people didn't believe he won. But he also would have had a fight with Inoue, who has been a top 5 or so pound for pound fighter for years. He's been a top 5 guy for years, wherever you place him. Whether you place him at number 1, 3, 4, 5, whatever. So I would have loved to see the fight, But there's still work to be done, and he still have good fights. You got MJ still there. You got Luis Neri there. Those are the two fights I wanted to see at 118. Luis Neri and John Rio Casamero. But we have Paul Butler, because Paul Butler holds a title. And at the end of the day, you can select your fighters when you take voluntary fights, but you can't select the champions. At the end of the day, Paul Butler is a champion. And there's no other champions at this division but him. And if you want to become undisputed and make history, this is a guy you got to go through. And then he's going to move up to 122. And I'm looking forward to that, because I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do as he's fighting bigger guys. I don't believe there's anyone from 118 down that can stand a chance against Inoue, or anyone that's currently at 122. I think he's so much better than all of these guys. But now he'll be fighting even bigger guys. That's a huge jump from 118 to 122. Might not sound like it, but it is. So even if I think you have a better talent, it's still a test. Paul Butler. I was trying to see if there was any difference in his game since I seen him lose to a Manny Rodriguez. That was his most recent loss. He's picked up a bunch of wins since then. Let me pull it up here. He picked up a bunch of wins, but not against none of the, no names here. Guy is 41-5, and another guy that's 23-12, 14-8, 7-10. He fought a guy in 2019 that was 16-71. You lost 71 times and only won 16 times, 5 draws. Time to hang it up. He fought Ryan Walker, who's 11-2. Yeah, I mean, Sultan, even though he's 18-5, I was able to look through his fights, and Sultan fought Jerwin Ocasas, right? Lost to him, but is still a good fighter. But he has a win against John Rio Casimiro. And that fight is on YouTube. And I was able to watch some of it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I wanted to get an idea of who he was once I saw that Paul Butler beat him. And I saw the Paul Butler fight as well. And what did I get out of the fight? Well, Paul Butler is more like a safety first fighter. And I think he's even more safe after the Manny Rodriguez loss. I mean, what I got out of his style is that he's even more cautious than he was against Manny. Using his legs for a good period of fight against Sultan. And then once Sultan started to slow down a bit, he started to engage a little bit more. All right, started to stand in front of Sultan and, encounter him, and he won a decision. Cool, whatever. The thing is, though, doesn't really have any power. All right, not against the better fighters. I'm not talking about his record. I'm talking about the good fighters he fought. Tete, Manny, these guys, world-class guys, and even Sultan, all right? Not much there, He has to fight very cautiously against these guys. And I believe that Inoue is levels above those guys. I mean, we've seen this fight with Manny Rodriguez. He's level above those guys. So if you're fighting cautiously here, and you're just mainly pot shotting, not many combinations, not you really being aggressive, you're kind of just picking your spots type of thing, a lot of moving. I mean, a Sultan fight, at least in the first half, a lot of moving. I mean, too much moving. I mean, he was doing his best impression of old school Erislandy Lara, And he is not going to win the fight that way or even have a chance. He has to gain some sort of respect early. You can't just go like that, because the difference is between Sultan and a fighter like Inoue is Inoue has very, very quick legs. So I'm sure he's preparing for you to move a lot. But he's going to be able to cut the ring off on you, and you're not going to have a choice but to stand and fight. So you might as well fight early to gain some kind of respect, or mix it up a little bit, in between rounds, during rounds. Mix it up, move a little bit, but look for the opportunities to try to ambush him. Keep the combination short. You don't want to throw any more than 2 punches. You don't want to get clipped and countered. All right. But honestly, I don't see how he could win. He doesn't have the power of a Donaire to keep Inoue, away. I don't think he has the defense to keep Inoue away. He's a decent defender, but a lot of his defense is relying on his legs. I don't think he has better legs than Inoue, and I think Inoue is much quicker. Not only that, but even if you fight out of high guard, Inoue is gonna punch the hell out of your body. And you don't want that neither, because he stops guys and he drops guys too from body shots. So whatever you do, he's going to be punching around your guard. You want to have your hands too low against this guy because he has a great jab. And you just, in a way, it's a full package. And I feel that in a way is better in every way imaginable. Every way. I don't really know what Paul Butler could do except for trying to survive. I think the only thing that I wondered leading up to this fight here was how I was gonna to bet this. If I was gonna do round betting, if I was gonna try to decide if it's gonna be done, the over within, 3 rounds or over within. I mean, I would think it'd be over within three, but you never know. I mean, he's gone late with some of the other opponents that weren't that good neither. It really depends. I don't think Inoue is going in there to try to get the knockout as quickly as possible. I think Inoue is going to be looking for the right shot to put him down. If he doesn't put you down, he's just going to slowly work at it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I think he went like, 7 rounds against Jason Maloney. Let me pull it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at these last fights. He went 2 rounds against Donaire, a fight that we were all excited to see, but he went 8 rounds before that, went 3 rounds before that, he went 7 rounds before that, and he went 12 with Donaire. It's really hard to call because if Butler is going to just keep moving and just trying to survive, which I think he's not going to have a choice but to, you never know. We don't know how many rounds this fight is going to go, Maybe a new way draws it out a little bit, But one good thing about both is that both have been active. I mean, Inoue usually fights at least twice a year. I think only 2020 was like the only year that he fought once, which is a year that, everybody fought, a few amount of times. You had Paul Butler. See how many times. Paul Butler has been active too. I'm trying to pull up his record, but Paul Butler, I checked it earlier. He's been active. He fights. Here you go. All right. He's fought earlier this year. He fought last year. He fought once at 20. All right. So he hasn't been that active. But since 2019 and before the pandemic, he was very active. But he hasn't been as active as Inoue recently. I don't give him much of a chance. He doesn't have any weapons. I think he's. Sorry about that. These commercials on Boxrec. Yeah, he doesn't really have much there. And I think the best he can really do is survive. Even when I watch like the Paul Maloney fight, or I'm sorry, the Jason Maloney fight, Jason didn't have much there, but he was durable in the fight and he was able to take a lot of shots from Inoue. And I just don't think Paul Butler got it like that. Being that he's been stopped and dropped by two of the best fighters he's fought. Guys that Inoue can easily beat. I just can't see it. I know styles make fights, but Paul Butler's style is not dangerous for Inoue. It's not confusing for Inoue. You just don't know. It can end in 1 round. Like, when I think of the Payano fight, I think it was the first right hand he landed clean on Payano. He was out. Paul Butler could be that guy. But I don't think he will be. I think it'll go a little bit longer than that. But I'm expecting Inoue to stop him within 6. It really depends on what he wants to do. And I think even if Paul Butler is going to move a lot, I think Inoue is going to catch him and find him and put him away. Inoue is just too explosive. And he doesn't waste the punches. I was saying this about Bud the other day. For a power puncher, he doesn't waste many punches. He's a very good counter puncher. I mean, look at Donaire. We all know him for his speed and his left hook. His left hook was missing in the rematch against Inoue because Inoue was dominating Donaire with the left hook. He's just too good, too fast, too sharp, too explosive, and he has cat-like reflexes. Twitch-like reflexes. He throws the right hand and you try to counter him, but he's already out of danger. He's just too quick. And I still think he's improving, which is scary. Because I think he's improved since the Donaire rematch. Donaire first fight. So I have Inoue stopping him at some point. I'm gonna say within 6, but I just can't give Butler a round or anything to really work with because I don't really know what he can do here to win. And even if he tries to be physical, which I wouldn't expect him to be, but if he were to try to be, first of all, I don't think it would work because Inoue would invite that, and he does these quick step backs and make you walk into shots. But even if he did were able to do that, I haven't seen Paul Butler be a bully to really anybody, and I don't think it's going to start with this fight. All right, we gotta have to see something that we haven't seen before from Paul Butler. But I give Inoue a stoppage win. We all know this. Again, I will try to do live commentary depending on what time the fight starts. I'm very excited to see Inoue, and I'm gonna be cheering for him to become undisputed. He's one of the best fighters that I've seen in a very very long time, and I think that's all I really gotta say about it. He's going to be undisputed. I look forward to what he can do at 122. There's still a lot of fights. I know a lot of guys has moved up recently. But you still have Aleem there. You have Neri there. You have MJ Akhmadaliev there. You still got a lot of fighters there. All right. So I'm looking forward to the fight on Tuesday. And I will see you guys then. The next breakdown will be... what's this two? Frank Martin and Michelle Rivera. All right, I already started doing film study on that one, so be on the lookout. Might do it tonight. Might post it tomorrow morning. Though I'll probably do it tonight, but post it tomorrow morning. All right. So anyway, I'm out of here. Y'all have a good weekend. I will see you tomorrow night or afternoon for fight commentary for all of the fights tomorrow. All right. Peace.